Hello and welcome to episode number 6 of the Joey Moments podcast. My name is Joey. I have Joey Moments, and today I am joined by one of my really long-term friends, Chris.
Welcome. Yeah. My name's Chris. I'm here on the podcast. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, of course. Me and you talked about you being on the podcast.
Since the very beginning.
Yep. Yeah. Since you found out, which people kind of
found
out
about the website, and I was like, all right, let's see where this project's going.
Yep. I deliberately did not tell people about it. It was very deliberate. I wanted people to kind of organically find out about it.
Which is the best way to find out of a podcast.
Yeah, and I didn't want our friends to watch it because they felt obligated to, or me be like, hey guys, I'm doing a podcast, listen to it.
Right.
Like, obviously, I appreciate everyone that does listen to it.
Like the shameless plug, you know.
Yeah, I didn't want to do that. We have, all of our friends have stuff that they're doing, and the website in its current state is only part of what I kind of wanted to do.
Right.
So, and it's evolving. I talked about it last week on the little solo update, and that there's more to the website than is what is there. I'm redoing the website currently, and then at some point I basically want it to just be a hub for if you want to see what we're doing, any of our friends, it'll be on the website.
Yeah.
And that's kind of the idea of it, not just being my projects, which there's the projects this project that's out, Joy Moments.
Yep.
And there are the projects that are coming out in the future that are
and just keep
exciting.
Building onto it. And
yep. Eventually it'll just be a catalog of everything that we're doing, which I think is fun. And I post pictures from stuff that we do, and it's very nice. It's very much a thing for our friends. And I know that there are people who we went to high school with, or that I know who have reached out to me and be like, I watched the podcast, it was really good. And I'm like, oh, that's cool that people
seeing all of us after we graduated,
and
man.
So it's been very fun.
You get 4 more years and it'll be a decade.
Since we graduated. Yeah, that's really weird to think about.
It is, isn't it? Yeah.
That's weird.
That we've had all this life outside of high school, and yet there's still people in our town that are like, hey, I still catch up with you.
I'll occasionally run into people that we went to high school with, and I feel bad sometimes because I'm like, I don't remember you. I'm like, I recognize your face, but I don't have a name. There was someone like 2 years ago at Papillion Days.
Yep.
And was like, oh my God. And they knew me by my last name. And I was like, that's weird.
It's weird.
Why do you know my last name?
Yeah, why do you know
and I was like, I had to sit there and look at him for a minute. And I was like, well, I recognize your face, but I don't know where. And they talked a little bit, and I was like, oh, okay, you were so-and-so's girlfriend.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't actually know you. I knew your boyfriend. Mm-hmm. And I guess we just kind of knew each other through passing.
Oh, yeah.
And it's weird how many people like that you're just like, I don't remember you, but you remember me, I guess.
You remember me, or vice versa. Like, you can pick someone out in a crowd, and you're like, oh, I either remember I went to high school with them, I remember from this certain time, and it's just like, okay, well, I've seen you've grown, but, there are some people who haven't grown from high school. So.
No, and it's crazy. And we're getting to the age now where, I'll see on social media, people are...
Gotta crack this one.
Yeah, go ahead. That will graduate. If you want to hand me the bottle cap, we have a nice little thing here for it.
I see it back there. Don't worry.
We'll have, there are people, that are graduating, with their, second or third degrees.
Right.
And I'm like, oh, my God, you have
I didn't
you have
go
a
to college.
master's?
Yeah.
I'm still in college. I only just figured out what I'm doing.
Right. See, I got the cheat code of not going to college. I did IT. So in IT, as long as you know your stuff, you can go anywhere.
Certs are very important.
I don't even have certs, and yet I'm almost the IT director stone at this point with all the stuff that I do and every job that I've had previously. I've just been able to find niches into where, okay, we need this to be done. Can you learn it? And I learn it as quickly. I think that might have to do with, of course, my ADHD and my when I commit to learning something, I'm just going straight for it. Mm-hmm. It's a blessing and a curse.
Nope, I get that. And I saw that firsthand when we worked together.
Mm-hmm.
Because you were
in the bleeped.
Yep, in the bleeped. Yeah, we're not gonna rename that.
We're not gonna rename that one. No.
That was funny too, because I edited the audio for that podcast. Because I do all the editing for the podcast, so it's just me.
It's a one-man show over here.
We get everything recorded, and then I do the audio Sunday night before the audio goes out Monday, and then Monday I'll do the video version.
Right.
I edited the audio version, and I had the bleeps in the Audacity file, but I had them muted because I was trying to figure out
Oh,
where it was, and I
yep.
couldn't have the bleeps over it. I needed to hear where the word was, and so I'd muted it and I moved them and cut them.
Right.
And then the problem with that was that I forgot to unmute the track.
Oh, yep. And yeah, I listened to it uncensored, and
Yep, and
that's
so
why I
it was
reached out to you
uncensored.
when I was,
Yeah.
it's not that they were a horrible thing, but it's just like
They didn't
common
treat.
courtesy.
I will say, working with them, they did not treat their employees badly.
No.
They treated their employees pretty decently.
But the general practices of what we were
Yep.
doing,
Yeah, that was
it just fell on a moral line when
especially the company's like mission statement
yep.
felt very different to what we were doing.
Yeah, it
Like
felt
the
very
mission
different.
statement very much felt, without giving away too much as to what we did or whatever.
Yeah.
The mission statement felt very, we're trying to improve people who are in really shitty conditions. We're trying to
Right.
improve their lives. But then the actual company behaviors were very,
Very scummy,
let's cut corners where we can to make as much money as we can. Like some of the products we did, the stuff that I worked on after you left, like putting stuff together, like new products that we were sending out. I mean, it was really like we're not going to buy these better screws that would be, better quality because
right.
they cost
and won't.
a third of a penny more per screw.
And see, that's the funny part is a lot of companies nowadays, and it really depends on what kind of business you're in, but you're trying to maximize profits without spending that much more. Even though if you would do these things where you would spend a little bit more, you would save yourself time and money down the road. But a lot of companies just think about, okay, this is the money right now, this is what we're spending right now, and that's it.
And that was the funny thing is that they wanted to, one of the products that they did, they ordered a bunch of, it wasn't dead stock, but it was definitely not current inventory of anything. Like the product was discontinued.
Oh, yeah.
And so we were ordering, I guess we were ordering dead stock. And the problem with that was that they were like, well, can we backdate the OS? Can we go back to this version of the OS? And I was like, well, problem with that is the operating system you're talking about was never compatible with this device to begin with.
You guys scraped this together.
The firmware is already on the launch version of firmware is already too new to be compatible with that operating system that you're talking about. So it was a lot of interesting stuff.
Yep. And
I think you left. I got fired.
yeah, I left because I had a better opportunity with a MSP. And if you don't know what an MSP is, it's a managed service provider. They do IT for hundreds of companies at a time. And so me and 3 other people, we did IT support for that many. Sure, I learned a lot, but I got beat to the ground with all of the little fine things here and there. And I finally left there because, working on that many companies for the little pay that I was getting, sure, it was work from home, but at the same time, I never actually got to work from home. I always had to go somewhere. And we have a town pretty close to us, 40 minutes away that, from here to there, that's a pretty typical like job to go all the way down there and back.
For IT, yeah.
Yeah.
There's a lot of companies in Omaha that service IT in Lincoln.
Yep.
And it is absolutely crazy how many times people are just having to drive back and forth to do stuff. And it's kind of wild to me to think about, like with jobs like that you had. The company I currently work for is similar.
Right.
Part of our business is MSP, but we only have one person in the company who does it.
Yeah. And it gets draining. I've now found myself to be a one IT company infrastructure, and I'm pretty happy with it. But of course, as I grow up, there's more things I want to do. There's more challenges I want to take on. So
well, and you're growing essentially a portfolio of skills
right.
that you'll be able to present, and I think that's always a good thing. When it comes to jobs like IT, the more practical experience you have, the better rounded off you are. Because an IT position, something opens up, and if you've headed an IT department before, you have to know a little bit of everything.
Yep,
you have to be a jack of all trades.
You need to know how like different Windows things work. You need to know, structure and backup. Like there's a million and one things to know, and that's why with IT like in a company, knowing all those things usually lands you the job because not everyone does.
Yep.
And so that's kind of where I've gone. But how you feeling today, Joey?
Feeling good. Still a little sore
Yeah.
from the lake yesterday, but
You shouldn't swim half a mile.
No,
maybe you wouldn't break your back.
No, that was brutal. But it was a fun time. I had a really good time at the lake. That's one of the things I enjoy about summer is being able to do the things where like we all go out somewhere.
Yeah.
Whereas
we live in the middle of the tundra in the winter, so it's like you want to go outside. Okay, you're gonna freeze in 15 minutes.
Yep. Yeah. So the summer's very enjoyable to go do stuff like that. Go to the lake, go swimming. Yep. I wish we had a pool here at the house, but pools are expensive.
They are.
Above ground, even like a small pool, above ground pool is like $400,
mm-hmm.
and then you have to think about getting the additional stuff because buying that's just the
filters
pool. You have to get the
and
filters.
The pump
you have to get chlorine. You have to get that's if you're doing a chlorine pool and then a
right.
salt pool. You have to do.
Technically, a salt pool is technically a chlorine pool because the salt breaks down into
mm-hmm.
chlorine. So
it's just
they're
one
and the same. Off. Yeah. My parents they got an above ground pool in 2012 for $100. It was like end of summer deal. Mm-hmm. It was like you get this pool, and we ran that pool for 8 years, and we bought all the filters, all the chemicals, and it's been great. It's a challenging thing to do just to figure out what works, what doesn't, but
they replaced it, right?
They just recently did because the poles where the T is, they were rusting on the sides, and so eventually they would break.
Okay.
Yeah. When they were taking it down, they just lightly put a little more pressure, snapped right in half. So it was time. It was definitely time.
So one of the things that we do here is we drink beer.
Oh, what? I couldn't tell you.
I am going to be honest with you. This will probably be the first time I've taken a sip of Heineken since 2021.
They're delicious. Didn't you know that?
I've always referred to them as skunk beers.
They do taste a little skunky. If you can't tell by the green bottle, it's like it's skunk in a can or in a bottle.
Skunk in a bottle. So I guess I'll give you my opinions on it because I really don't think I've had a Heineken in years.
Well, they are fresh. I followed all the directions. You got to store them in a dark, cold place, and
are there really that many instructions with Heineken?
Oh yeah, because if they are exposed to light, their flavor changes, and it makes it even worse.
That's so insane to me that there's. I mean, I guess it makes sense because
it's the same for whiskeys or like there are certain like protocols you should follow for how to do it. Oh, that face doesn't give me confidence that I brought the right one today.
It's not the worst beer. Well, no, this is the thing. So I don't mind. So the concept of the beer portion of the podcast, as we're like trying to figure out if that's something that we're going to do and everything, is that the idea is that we're drinking. Right now, it's been a lot of beers that we drink.
Right.
Ideally, it'll be beers that neither of us have had, that nobody's had.
See, and that's where I should have gone to our Lucky Bucket down the street and gotten some craft beers. But this is an all-time favorite of mine.
And that's fair, and that's what I like because then, even though I may not enjoy it as much, you do, and that's a good thing because people have different taste palettes and everything.
Right.
With beer, it's a little difficult for me. I think I'm very well known in our group as the foofy drink guy.
Jose Cuervo
Yeah,
bottles.
I like the margarita mixes. I like the sex on the beaches.
My stomach. Those make me
you have to
upset.
Be careful. I think when I was 21, it was very easy to drink a whole bottle and have no repercussions the next day. Even in just 3 years, we're 24. We're not old by any means of the imagination.
I know.
Like by no means, no definition are we old. Livers in their prime condition, and I am
no
still
cirrhosis yet,
and hopefully no cirrhosis ever. I don't think any of us drink. I don't think any of us drink that much.
No, I don't think so.
But the thing with that is,
no, I know we don't.
The thing with that is that I will still get hangovers now from the sugary stuff if I don't drink a metric ass ton of water. Yeah. 21, I could drink a whole bottle of the pre-mixed Jose Cuervo margarita mix, and no water and no hangover.
Yeah.
And now, if I do not drink a gallon of water for every like 2 cups of that margarita mix, I am gonna just be miserable the next day.
Yeah, I really like that that salt stuff that you put in water. It's like something H2O, liquid H2 or liquid
Yeah.
hangover. No,
Yeah,
liquid IV. That's what it
liquid
is.
IV, yeah.
Yeah, it is like for my wedding. Like I had one right when I got there because I knew that it's my wedding. I'm gonna drink a lot. Like what's gonna happen? So I drank one of those, and it was probably the best decision I ever made because all throughout the night, sure I was a little drunk, but I no headache, no.
Nothing like that.
I was still straight on, and it was great. Even though other people got a little more drunk than me, which I'm perfectly okay with as long
funny.
as my wife and I had a good time, and we had a great time.
It was kind of funny because we the night before, all of the groomsmen got together,
Yeah.
and we were like we set a rule, and we were like, no one gets more drunk than Chris. Chris and Mac are. It's their day.
Yep.
Nobody go past where they're at.
Yep.
And
And someone blew it. Someone took the red light and went straight past it. No harm to him.
No,
He had
so much
a
fun.
fantastic time, and I've told him time and time again, it's okay. There was no one was hurt. No one. He was probably hurt, but
He had such a rough night. That was so funny too because the way that happened for me was I was at the bar getting a drink.
yep.
And his girlfriend comes up to me and goes, because I have kind of a reputation of stealing him.
Yeah.
And she goes, Have you seen him? And I was like, no,
No.
not recently.
Where'd he
And
go?
someone walked by and was like, oh, I saw him go into the bathroom. But that was like a while ago. And she goes, can you go check on him? And I was like, okay. And so I went and checked on him. And when I walked in, there's like 3 people surrounding him, and he's just in the toilet.
Oh man, and no one wanted to come tell me. No one wanted
Nope.
to come let me know.
Nope.
But then once I saw people just slowly making their way towards the bathroom and coming back, I'm like, oh no, someone's in there.
Yep.
And I go in there, and everyone's like, stay out, stay out. And I'm like, it's my wedding, move. And I see him in there. I'm like, how's it going? He's like, I'm like, okay, yep.
Oh
Yep.
yeah, it was so much fun. That wedding was so much fun.
Oh, yeah. And it was a perfect day too. It was like 82, and like on the Friday and the Sunday it was raining, but on Saturday it was perfectly clear.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Those photos probably are going to turn out really,
Yeah,
really
8 to
good.
10 weeks.
Yeah, that's pretty standard.
It is
for
standard. Like,
it just kind of sucks because you're like, I want to see them,
but it's gonna be worth the wait.
yeah.
It's gonna be absolute. I mean, it's 8 hours of photos, and everything else from that day we've gotten back and gotten put away, and we still have that large mirror in my garage. I don't know what I'm gonna do with it, but
at least you have a garage. I mean, for having you guys basically have the equivalent of like a townhome.
Yeah, it's a townhome.
Is that what it's classified as?
Yeah, it's
Okay.
classified as a townhome just because of the private entrance, the private garage, and the fact that we are completely like isolated.
Mm-hmm.
Even though there's someone below us, but we never hear them and they never hear us from what we.
There is someone below you?
Yeah, there is. Yep.
Okay, I didn't know that.
Yeah,
So is there just a different is the orientation of the building that there's
they don't get a garage.
They don't. Okay, you
Yeah.
guys get the garage. They don't.
Yep, and then there's one to the right of us who only gets a 1-car garage, but it's a two-bedroom house or townhouse. And then they also have apartments. Yeah, I really like the place, except every year it gets more and more expensive.
That's how
just
it
like
goes,
everything
yeah.
around here.
That's and a lot of times with rent, and I was talking with my parents about this because their rent goes up every year, but
Yep.
they also lived through the period of rent not going up at the rate that it does now. And they're like, we're used to, rent going up, $25-$50 a year.
Yeah,
That's pretty, that was standard.
That's standard.
And now rent's going up like $150 to $200, maybe even $300 a month. Our rent went up almost $500 between last year and this year. And we weren't super upset about it because we were way below the average for this neighborhood.
Yep.
We were
Yep.
$750 below the average rent in this neighborhood.
And so it makes sense.
So when they rose the price, I was like, that's a lot, but also, okay, that means in the future our rent should not go up that much. If our rent goes up again, we'll find out in about a month.
Yeah.
Because they said 45 days before end of lease, they'll give us the new lease template.
Yeah.
which I don't know why it's a new lease. I just wanted to extend this one, but
Because
they want to raise it.
Yep.
Yeah.
If
And
they want to
so-
raise it, or if they want to change terms, like they bring that new
Yeah.
contract.
So
And then they all have all the power because they own.
they own the house.
They own the
so
house,
and then the thing is,
so-
so we'll see it. But if they raised the rent again by the same amount, they would be almost $400 above the average in this neighborhood, which would be really just crazy, even for how big this house is. Because again, this house is huge.
Right.
It's a very big house. It's larger than average in the neighborhood. So square footage, we're a bigger house than average, and our rent is still below average. I think probably what is going to happen is we're going to hit the average mark this year.
Yeah.
I think we're going to go up to that number, and it'll raise our rent.
But I mean,
per person,
if you're trying to stay here, this is not only a good location for a lot of things, but you're living with your friends.
It's this like last little time in our lives where we're going to be living in a situation like this.
Right.
And I'm enjoying it. I'm just trying to like really, as much as like I say I don't want to move because I hate moving,
Yeah.
which is a big part of it. But I like the people I live with. I liked the people I lived with before this. Like, the last group, Dylan, Zoe, Marshall, and Tyler, was so much fun. The environment is different. That one felt much more like a frat house. And it was a lot of fun for that reason.
It also felt, I mean, you guys, there were 2 apartments, and then the doors were like here and here.
Yep.
So all you had to do was go around
So it felt
and around
like we lived
and around.
together for 2 years.
Yeah.
And it was a lot of fun. And this house
I lived in that same complex, just
You
on
did.
the other side. Mm-hmm. And that's where one of the Joey moments happened.
That was the Joey moment that Tarek talked about.
Yep. We got to bring that one back up.
Of me killing that TV.
Absolutely
It
body
still
slamming
worked.
it. I mean, it worked if you're
Works, in
considering
in
the right half of
quotations.
the screen not working.
Yeah. Okay, the day of, the right half of the screen worked.
Right.
It just had the giant blue line on it.
Yep. Yeah. But you got me my swivel mount.
I did.
I'll take a swivel mount over that cheap Walmart TV that I paid like $80 for.
Yeah, your mount was more expensive than that.
Yep. That's why I said the
'cause
swivel mount will
you gave
make
me
do.
you gave me the size of the TV, and I was like, okay, Chris, what's the weight of your TV? Because the weight is some of those mounts. They say that they support the size of the TV, but then you read the little fine
little
print, and it's like,
asterisk,
and
yeah.
there's like between X and Y weight, and you're like, wait, but my TV is within the size, but my TV's heavier than that.
Right.
You can't use that mount. And with swivel mounts, that's very important because you are pulling it off the wall.
Yeah, and it's holding on to the rod at the end, and so every time you
Yep.
swivel it or move
If your weight is too heavy on like just a plain wall mount, like you're flat, it's not going to matter.
no,
It can
because it's just hanging on the wall rather than actually moving.
Yep. And
Even though we don't move it that much, but in our room, like I have my desk in there, so if I want to watch TV and also play on my computer, I can just turn it right to me. So, am I good right here? Am I good right here?
You should be. I didn't change anything. You are recording.
Oh, am I?
Yeah.
Oh.
Okay. So
We're back.
Let a blooper reel. Hello and welcome back. You may have noticed that there was a slightly abrupt cut. And
Which time?
Only once. We cut the other one.
Oh, you're right.
We ran into some minor technical
Hey,
difficulties.
when you're doing this whole setup, you're gonna have problems sometimes.
Yeah, and there are problems that I should know about. The SD card, I should be on top of that one. The thing that I was not expecting was brand new AA batteries in the pod track dying almost instantly. This is the first time I've used those batteries because I put them in Monday after I recorded on Sunday last week,
Yep.
the little solo episode. Brand new batteries. Brand fucking new. I mean, out of the box in there. And within, we recorded for 23, 24 minutes.
Yeah,
Dead.
gone.
So
It's okay.
more lost footage, which is fine. I eventually I will compile either the lost footage or the bloopers into like a blooper reel.
And it's
And
all
so-
good. It's nothing that's taking anyone else's time. So
No, and we didn't talk about a whole lot. We talked about
anime.
printer ink. Oh, anime. We did talk about
we
anime.
didn't.
'cause we were talking
That
about
was in the
adaptation.
blooper.
That was
Yeah,
in the blooper.
yeah.
We were
That
talking
was-
about Tokyo Ghoul.
Yeah, and how they baited me into thinking that there was going to be a remake for their 10-year anniversary, but instead it was just an art gallery, which I can appreciate Tokyo Ghoul art. Like I love it, but I want remake.
something, yeah.
Yeah, because
You
the
want
anime, I want it a true adaptation to the manga because the manga, masterclass.
You
It is
want the
fantastic.
equivalent of Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
You
That's
want
exactly
the
what I
true
want.
treatment, faithful to the source material.
Yeah, give it to either the Wit Studio or I forget who makes JJK. Mappa.
Yeah.
Yeah, give it to Mappa.
Yeah, what I wouldn't do to have a Halo TV series based
I know.
accurately on
I know.
the source material.
But
That's
it just
it's
depends on
tragic.
how much Halo gets back into relevance.
Well, they had a
Relevancy.
really big opportunity. I mean, look at Fallout.
Yeah.
Not to say that Fallout ever fell out of relevancy,
I'm
but
gonna
it was
say
a
that
very
show was really good, and it brought a lot of people back into Fallout, and new people into Fallout because of that show.
and the thing with it is it's loyal to the established lore.
Yep.
Because it takes place in the universe. The Halo TV series, they had an opportunity to just take the story of the game and adapt it to TV.
Yep.
And people would be like, wow,
Wow, this is great.
that's awesome.
Yeah.
Cool. And then what would they have done? They would have gone and they would have played Halo, just like Fallout. And instead they were like, none of us have watched or none of us have played Halo, but we're going to make a TV show about it. It's
Yeah,
like,
we don't care about
why are
that.
you involved in a project based on something that people like? That'd be like going, we're going to make the Warcraft movie. None of us have touched any Warcraft games. None of us
Don't even know what a MOBA is.
We don't know
Oh, the
anything,
MMORPG. My bad.
or or the real time or the RTS because it started as an RTS. No, we don't know anything about it. We don't know who Thrall is. What's Azeroth like?
What's the Horde?
All right, and so
Joey, then I have the question: Horde or Alliance?
I've always been a Horde guy.
Wow.
I'm for the Horde.
Yeah.
But nowadays in WoW, it matters less and less as time goes on.
Yeah, especially with this new expansion, it's going to matter even less.
Mm-hmm. And so, because it's becoming like a world-ending event.
Yep.
I'm excited.
Is this the end of Warcraft after this? Do you think?
So they're doing 3 expansions that are telling one conjoined story.
Yep.
So it's going to be very connected, which I think has been lacking. It feels like each expansion, although there is, the interconnected story, feels very
segmented. Like, okay, we've got this big story arc here. We've got this big story arc here.
Well, and like that was like the thing, like with the original run of the game, like the classic era of the game, the vanilla Burning Crusade and Wrath of the Lich King.
Wrath of the Lich King, my favorite expansion.
Absolutely, no, 100%. But like those stories, like obviously you have the World of Warcraft, which kind of tells its own story into the lore. Burning Crusade takes place during kind of the Warcraft 2. I don't remember the name of the expansion for Warcraft 2. That's when it takes place.
Right.
And then Wrath of the Lich King takes place after Warcraft 3. It's the whole after the rise of the Lich King.
Yep.
And so and Arthas and all that stuff, which is really cool. But those are that original run of the game is so intertwined with the source material of Warcraft that it's based in, because it all is one universe.
Yeah.
It's one story.
I mean, and it always has been. Even those early RTS games, it's still the same story. And there's been multiple books. There's been so many cinematics for it. Like they've done a very good job of world building, and I think that's why World of Warcraft has still maintained its relevance over the years.
Oh yeah.
And its pull. And I mean, you got to think the ghost horse, the blue ghost horse, the $15 ghost horse, made more money than the entire StarCraft game.
Yeah, that's
The $15 horse in World of Warcraft made more money than a game that was produced by Blizzard.
Yep, it's kind of crazy. And the other crazy part is that World of Warcraft right now is seeing a player increase for the first time, like steadily. World of Warcraft's population has been going up again for the first time in 14 years.
Yeah.
It hasn't gone, or no, that even longer, since before Cataclysm. So yeah, about 14 years.
Yeah, about 14,
because Cataclysm was when the population started declining, and it has not. It's seen little blips, but it has never had,
especially during expansions or really like feature content and stuff like that.
Yeah, people will come back, but it's never been the numbers just going up, and now the number is just going up.
Yeah,
and for the first time in 14 years, that's really good. Obviously, the player count is not anywhere near what it was at Wrath of the Lich King.
No.
But it's kind of hard to beat that story and to beat.
Yeah, because
that
it
felt
was
like
so polished. It was so polished, and it had like it was like, oh, like we're going to beat the Lich King. Oh, what is happening? Like
Yeah, Icecrown Citadel is a wild
I
raid.
loved it. I loved it when it was
Current
current
content.
content because it was actually hard. But now you can just blow right through it. Like
Yep.
no one ever cares about this content
No, you
anymore.
really only go back to stuff like that if you're trying to get drops from it or if you're trying to get titles.
Right.
And that's kind of the state of legacy content in WoW, which I don't think is a bad thing. With a game that is, 20 years old, it's kind of hard to give people a reason to go back to legacy content,
Yep.
which I like what they're doing right now with the Mists of Pandaria remix, because now you can do a time runner, so it's separate from the rest of the realm that you're on,
Right.
and you level up a character that has a cloak of whatever, and it's a buff that gives you buffs for all of your stats,
Yep.
and you basically get to level up quickly, but you're playing exclusively through Mists of Pandaria content.
Right.
And you get basically benefits, and there's exclusive content to this event. There's exclusive mounts, exclusive gear, stuff like that. So it encourages you to play through what would be, 12-year-old content.
So yeah. Yeah. About because
2012, yeah.
Mr. Pandaria came out
2012, yeah.
2012. No, I think it was closer to 2014.
No, 2014 would have been Warlords of Draenor.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
what I
'cause
was thinking.
Cataclysm-
WoD. Yep.
Because Cataclysm was
And that was a
2010.
bad expansion.
It would have been a good expansion if it only lasted a year.
Yeah, they drug
They-
it out.
Well, they cut like the entire year 2 content. There's so much cut content from WoD that I think if Blizzard had finished everything that they intended for Warlords of Draenor, it would be probably regarded as the best expansion in the game. And
Did they ever say
killed
why
it.
they cut it?
Resources and money.
Oh.
Because that was, think about how sharp the decline was. Because that was like really bad decline of player base. Like that, if Legion had not been as good as it was, if Legion had been as
I actually
bad
came
or as
back for
short,
Legion.
a lot of people did. I skipped. I came back and played it like the first 2 weeks. Same thing I did with Shadowlands and Dragonflight. I played for the first like 2 weeks, and not to say anything about Dragonflight. So far, now that I've been going back this past month and playing through it, I'm enjoying Dragonflight a lot.
Right.
But
See, I feel like I've missed out on so much content. I don't even know where I would begin if I come back.
and that's the interesting thing now is so you can do the Mists of Pandaria stuff and get your characters leveled. So like I did 4 alts entirely in that, and to level them from you start at 10
Okay.
to go from 10 to 70 on average took me about 4.5 hours.
Oh, that's not bad.
No, it's really quick.
Is there a level increase coming with the new expansion?
To 80.
To 80.
Yep. And Battle of Azeroth is no longer the 1 to 10 leveling zone. It is now Dragonflight.
Wow.
Dragonflight will be, or not 1 to 10, the 1 to
1 to 60?
1 to 70
Wow.
will be this one. It'll be Dragonflight, so you'll play through Dragonflight content to do that.
And they're just completely cutting the old content.
You have the option, so you can start either at Dragonflight. So like the way it is now in current content before pre-patch, as of the time of this podcast, if you were to start playing WoW again, you would have the option to start at level 1 either in Exile, whatever, so
Yeah.
Battle of Azeroth, or in your Legacy starting zone.
Yep.
So like if you're
if you're a orc, you start in Ogmire or in wherever that Dutor.
Dutor, yeah, I think you're right. And then if you were like a Blood Elf, you'd start in
The alliance side up near the top, and then
yeah.
all
So you would
all
start
those little
where
things,
you would
yeah.
start in vanilla is where you would start. So if you were to play, if someone playing classic WoW, or I guess like Seasons of Discovery, or like retail WoW, if you clicked the legacy starting zone, you'd be playing in the same spot,
Right.
going through the same legacy content. If you have a level 50 on the realm, you can do Chromie time, which is you can level through legacy content. Like you can pick which expansion you want to level through.
Cool.
So like if you wanted to level an alt exclusively through Wrath of the Lich King content, up to until you need to go through the current expansion, obviously.
Right.
But if you wanted to do like 10 to 60 through Wrath of the Lich King, you could, and then you would go to
That's cool.
the Dragon Isles.
That's really cool.
So, and now they're doing that to where instead of Battle of Azeroth, which is infamously like one of the worst expansions of the game, you'll now play through Dragonflight, which is so much fun.
Yeah.
And you'll learn the dragon flying and stuff, which is a cool concept. But I think WoW right now is probably the easiest it'll be to get into if you're new.
I am
Unfortunately,
not
WoW
new.
still does. Even me, because I'm a returning player, I took essentially the better part of a decade off
Yeah.
because I have not played this much since Warlords of Draenor came out.
Okay.
Because me and Henry played a lot of that together when it came
When
out.
it came out, yeah.
I skipped school
That's
the day it
crazy.
came out.
That's crazy.
I skipped school to play the expansion the day it dropped, which is kind of crazy to think about because I always look back on that. My parents were so generous to give me, as long as my grades were good, if there was a game coming out that I wanted to stay home from school, as long as my grades are good,
Yeah, as long
I
as your
could do
grades
it.
are good and your attendance is good, like as long as you're okay, like doing okay in school. I feel like because with school, especially in America, you're like it is 8 to 3 every day for 12 years of your life. I feel like a couple days off to get something that you enjoy, perfectly okay.
And my parents understood it. My uncle, you've met him. He was a really big gamer guy.
Yeah.
He really liked Call of Duty, so
Yeah.
he understood the oh, the new COD's coming out. You want to take the day off and you want to play it. Okay, I get that. And he would let me, he would let me stay home from school. And this was in high school. Elementary school? No.
No.
No, elementary, middle school, I did
No.
not get to miss school for game releases. High school, I missed World of Draenor coming out. I missed Master Chief Collection.
Mm-hmm.
I want to say I missed Halo 5 coming out. And then I think I missed school for... No, it wasn't. I didn't miss school. I got a late start. So I got a half day when Modern Warfare Remastered came out.
Nice.
And then our senior year when World War II came out, I did skip school.
Yeah.
That was I got a sick day for that.
Yeah, I don't remember staying home for any games. I'm not a big COD person. I'm not a big Halo person. I did play a lot of WoW, but that was because of my family playing it, and I would do the menial task while they had to go somewhere else. My big vice for a long time was League, and it always will be. I've been playing arenas recently with John, and it's been a lot of fun.
Yeah, I've been seeing you guys
it's-
on there. John will come down and he'll go, I can't keep Chris waiting, and he'll run back upstairs.
Yeah. Because he's immediately like, all right, let's go again. I'm like, man,
That's how
I'm
we've been
getting
with
woozy
dungeons
here.
and raids. Me, Jake, and Henry will just hit them back to back to back. And we did Siege of Orgrimmar
really.
on Friday. We did it through the LFG, and we did not do it as like Raid Finder. We did it just through the pre-made groups. So we, open group, we submitted, can we do it? The little apply button, and we got in. 20-man raid,
Yeah.
one healer.
Oh.
I think we wiped 3 times.
Ouch.
And it was terrible. It was fucking miserable. By the end, we had people leaving. Like halfway through, we had people leaving, and we got another healer in. By the end, I think we had 3 healers for 20 people.
Good.
Which is not.
That's a little better.
I think the recommended is 4.
Oh my
I think
goodness.
it's 4 healers for 20 people, but it sucked. And it's a fun. It's not like that was my first time playing through that
See,
raid.
we keep talking about this. You're gonna make me get back into it.
Good.
I hate it.
Good.
I hate it.
Good. Maybe then we'll get Mac involved, and then we'll have a little group. We'll have a little dungeon
not a
group.
guild. Not a guild.
Not a guild. We
No,
wouldn't have
but-
enough to guild it, but we'd have enough to do dungeons.
No, but a big thing of not only our friendship, but a lot of the lads' friendship has been from games in general.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I mean, I remember in high school doing the League of Legends esports team, and then you would come by and you play Halo while we were playing League,
yeah.
and all of our friendships have kind of evolved from these little niches, and it's really nice to see.
It was so funny. So recently, I was going through some of my old pictures, and I saw a picture of Eric's birthday party right before freshman year.
Yep.
So 2014,
2014.
2014, and one of the pictures, that was the night that we taped you to the basement,
duct taped me to a pole.
to a pole.
It was
But
not the basement.
It was the basketball
park.
pole at
yeah.
the park.
And then you lifted me up, duct taped me to the pole, and left me there for 15 to 20 minutes.
Yeah.
Just laughing at me like, you're up on a
But
pole.
one of the pictures that we have was of me, you, and Eric setting up or it's you and Eric when we were setting up the basement for that party.
Yeah, that was pre-IT days. I had to figure out, okay, how am I networking all
Yep.
of these little things?
And the next picture is Eric put me in a little cubby in an entertainment center. That's where my monitor was, and it's just the keyboard,
Yep.
a monster, and World of Warcraft's login screen.
Mm-hmm. Whoop. Oh,
Oh, you're making a mess.
I'm making a mess of myself.
Party foul.
Oh, wah, wah, wah. Oh, well. No, I mean, we had a lot of good times, especially early high school. I mean, all of high school with gaming, but our friendships are very very attuned to like what games we played. So like you and Eric really played Halo,
Yep.
but also Tarek did, whereas like Nathan played COD, and of course when Apex came out, everyone
my
played
God. And then
Apex.
don't get me started on the Counter-Strike. Oh man, high school. I think
No accident.
I think 90% of my hours in Counter-Strike were from sophomore and junior year of high school.
Yeah.
Because that was
DGen times for Counter Strike.
that was crazy.
That
'Cause
was
that was
trying
when
to
all of us played it. It wasn't like now. It's just really,
No, we could have 10 mans every day. Like that was like
all of us played it religious. Well, I don't know, not about religiously, but Tarek played it a lot. You played it a lot. I played it a lot. Jake did. Nathan, Dylan.
that's when I played Face It too. Like I actually like did
Took it
the
kinda
competitive,
seriously.
and I was like, all right, let's do this. And then I kept playing more and more Face It. I'm like, man,
Well,
this
and
is
you
not for
did
me.
the what
This
was
is
it? The
not for me.
Overwatch. Or
Overwatch.
what? Not the Overwatch. The what's it called in Counter Strike where you reviewed
Oh,
people?
yeah, the like the hacker. I think it is called
The
Overwatch.
Overwatch,
Yeah. Yeah, I love doing that. Where when I got invited to it, I was like, all right, let's do this. And so I would just watch and see, are you a hacker? Let's
Dude,
see, let's
I
see.
remember
And I
watching
see
you
him
do that.
spinning. I'm like, this guy's not a hacker. He's just spinning. And then
I remember you would stream that, and we
Yeah.
would watch it, and that was so funny to
yeah, because
watch.
I was like, why are you letting me into this? I'm like silver 2. What do I know about this game? But I know enough to know when to spot a hacker.
Yeah,
So.
and it was based off of rank. You were past that. You would have been Gold Nova
Yeah,
something.
I was
There
Gold
there was
Nova 3 or 2.
there was like a rank requirement, and then there was an hours requirement.
Oh, I
and I
hit my
think there
hour
was
requirement.
a wins requirement too.
I
think
I
it was
already
like
had
3 or 4.
1,500 hours by that point.
And then your you had to be in good standing with Valve
Yep, and I've never been VAC banned. Rest in peace, Tarek.
and Tyler.
And Tyler, yep.
Both of them have had VAC bans.
Oh,
Did Tarek get his?
guns back or his skins back?
No, he didn't get the skins back, right?
No.
But he didn't like lose that account, did he?
I don't think he lost the account, but I don't think there's any reason to log into it anymore.
Okay.
Because sure, the skins are on there, and like
But he
you
can't trade 'em.
You can't trade them. You can't play with them.
He has a separate Steam account now though.
Yes, yeah,
Okay.
he is a completely different one that has not been VAC banned. Even though he got VAC banned for a very stupid reason, like it wasn't even his fault. He didn't have cheats. He didn't have anything. He just got VAC banned, from what I've heard. So I don't know. Maybe Steam knows something I don't, but I don't think there were any files on that man's computer.
I want
to
to
do
cheat
that.
just to know what it feels like to cheat.
I know. I
I've
just want to rent him for an hour with no consequences.
Yeah, I feel like that'd be
'Cause it's not
interesting
fun.
to see. No, I
Every
don't think
time
it
I
would
see
be.
it, it's just like, why are you doing this? It's not enjoyable.
We play a lot of Call of Duty every winter.
Right,
you know,
when it
that
comes out.
that little group, you know,
And but yes,
and it's. I mean, obviously you don't, but
yeah,
but
I haven't played a COD game since MW2.
and so Jesus Christ, you missed on a couple good ones.
I don't find them very fun.
Oh,
so.
that's fair. That's fair. But when we do that, it's so crazy because we'll start seeing like the hackers come in like right away, and it's just like, how's it fun to you? How is it fun to hack a brand new game? Like, I don't understand the mentality of people who hack games anyway, because I'm like, how is it fun to just not do anything and get zero reward out of it?
Yep.
At least winning, like when you're playing the game, like that's rewarding because you won because you did things. It's not fun to just.
Yeah, it's like you get all the high end loot right away, and then you have to play with all these people who have nothing. Like, why? I don't get the curb stomp mentality.
Well, it's just it doesn't even feel like you're curb stomping people because like it's not like there's a reward at the end. It's not like it's like WoW where you do a dungeon or a raid and you get high tier loot and it makes your character better.
Right.
Sure, I'm not saying I condone cheating in WoW either, but at
Or
least that
scripting.
yeah, or I can kind of understand that you want better tier gear. That way your character is more powerful. That way you can
do more
kind of
content. You can do this and that.
yeah, and that way, if you have high enough level gear, you can just kind of solo dungeons, and you can kind of just increase your own chances of getting drops and legacy content, whatever.
Right.
But like in COD, what are you
There's
going to do?
no
Finish the
point.
battle pass quickly
Yeah.
so that what you can get
But the
skin?
battle pass you have to pay for.
Yeah,
So
the
it's
battle
like,
pass you have to pay for.
so, and then if they catch you cheating, that money that you just spent on the battle pass is gone.
Yeah, nope. They ban people all the time.
Yeah, they do big ban waves, and that's I follow a lot of game developers, and the mentality of ban waves is to just indicate, oh, we know this person's cheating, we'll keep them on a list, and they do it for a month or two, and then they just do a big ban wave, so then they don't know why they got found out and why they got banned, and it's a really good way of filtering out all these accounts that were suspected and not.
It's definitely interesting. I'm kind of surprised, and I think what we'll see probably in the next couple of years is specifically Call of Duty.
Yep.
Is we'll probably see Call of Duty get a different type of anti-cheat, and it will be kernel level.
Oh,
It'll
I
be kernel
hate
level.
kernel level.
The only thing about it that for COD that won't really bug me as much, Halo wouldn't bug me, Sea of Thieves wouldn't bug me to have kernel level anti-cheat, is because it's by Microsoft. Microsoft already has access to your kernel. It's what's the difference in a Microsoft? It's just another Windows subroutine at that point.
Yeah.
If the game's by Microsoft, I'm gonna, why not increase your anti-cheat to be kernel
That's also
level?
why I don't play Valorant, because of the anti-cheat.
Well, for League, you have to install it now anyway. You will at some point. Vanguard's going to be a requirement for the Riot launcher.
Well, that might be the point I stopped playing League of
Yeah,
Legends.
that's from my understanding. That is at some point will be the.
I don't think any application needs kernel level.
Nope, and that's why I'm saying with like Microsoft, it doesn't really matter to me.
Microsoft, yeah, I
Microsoft
agree there.
already does everything at the kernel level.
Yep.
So if you're going to have an anti-cheat, this is just my thought process. Microsoft should be the king. They should lock in on that industry, make a giant anti-cheat, and say, this is part of Windows now. If you want to develop a game, it's part of the DirectX.
Yeah.
It's just part of DirectX. Use that. You don't have to obviously use DirectX to make your game, but
you can
here's the
use-
Microsoft
yeah.
anti-cheat. It's kernel level. You're not going to see anything, but we will report to you when players need to be banned.
Right.
We will not transmit to you the data, but we will give you the indication to ban players. You don't get to see inside our kernel. Applications should not. No, I agree with you. Applications should not have kernel access.
No. I mean,
That's why Windows is so hard to run on Apple Silicon,
Yep.
because Apple will not give kernel keys to Microsoft for the Apple Silicon chips.
Yep.
They won't do it. So now you have to run it entirely in parallels. Whereas before, you could partition a drive, boot Windows natively on the processor on an Intel-based Mac. 'Cause it's Intel.
yeah.
They have the kernel keys already. They
Yep.
didn't have to talk to Apple about it. They have the kernel keys.
But now with the new M1, M2, M3 chips.
Yep, it's all Apple. Apple
All
would have
Apple.
to give Microsoft kernel keys, and they don't want to do that. Do you want to know the funny story about the original Xbox
Let's hear
with
it.
kernel keys? So Microsoft obviously made the Xbox.
Yeah.
It's a Microsoft product.
Right.
The Windows team would not give the Xbox team the kernel unless they ran Windows on the Xbox. Like, that was the thing. You want the Windows, like, because the operating system is a modified, very modified version of Windows,
Right.
of Windows ME, or Windows 2000 or Windows NT, whatever.
Right.
They needed the kernel, though, to run it. So after everyone left the office, the Xbox team went into the Windows team's office, stole the code for Windows, and just cut it all to just be the kernel.
That's
And
awesome.
scraped
And
the
then
kernel
built everything off
around
of that.
it. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Because the
Oh.
Windows team was petty and wouldn't give it to them.
You know, it's all that pettiness that leads innovation, right?
Oh yeah, no, it's so crazy. And like, think about how wild. Like, Bill Gates wanted Windows, like, to be able to run Office and shit on an Xbox. Who the fuck would do that?
I would not be using a word processor on an Xbox. I don't know about you, but
Like, have you seen the original Xbox
oh
controller?
yeah. They're
You're telling me you're gonna write a Word document with that shit?
yeah, XXXAA.
Oh my god.
No.
You'd have carpal tunnel after
Or
one
you
Word
have
doc.
to use the joysticks as like you're actually drawing the letter, each
Oh
individual
my God.
letter.
I can't imagine how it would work. And
Nor do I want to know.
no,
No.
at least like the modern Xboxes, they have the little chat pad.
Right.
So you can just, type.
Yeah.
But I don't even think Microsoft manufactures that anymore. That
The
accessory.
the chat pad?
Yeah, I don't think they do.
No.
But
Not for the new ones.
no, well, game companies nowadays, it seems like they discourage social activity so much because they're afraid of people. They're afraid of the bad characters
Yeah.
doing bad things, and it's like you're punishing the rest of us by removing social interaction because you can't accurately ban people who break your TOS.
Yep.
That's a you problem. Why are you ruining my experience?
Because it's an all or none mentality.
Yep. Well, that's why we don't have custom emblems in Call of Duty anymore.
Yep, that's exactly why. Another thing that I was just thinking of when we were talking about game consoles, like most of the arcade games, like the older arcade games, like any of the Bandai Namco games or any of the shooter games, all of them were running on a developer version of the PS3.
Really?
Yep,
Did not
every
know that.
single one of them was running a developer version of the PS3.
Yeah, I did not know that. That's
Yep.
interesting. The PS3 is a really powerful console.
Oh,
but
especially the developer edition. I was surprised when I cracked one of those open and like even though it was like 6 years old, it still held up. Like it was still
no, that
beefy.
cell processor is insane. Even almost 20 years later, that is so crazy. And the best part about that is that Intel was developing that processor, and it was not like proprietary. Like Sony didn't say like this is proprietary technology. Like so it's public or not public, but like Intel has it like in their specifications. If you're working to make a proprietary chip with Intel, they'd be like, oh hey, look at this chip that we're making.
Yeah.
And Microsoft was like, is that for the PlayStation?
Is that for the PlayStation? Is that?
And they were like, and so the working draft of the cell processor is what's in the Xbox 360.
Yeah.
It's basically a cut down version of the cell processor. Doesn't work quite as well, but it is a lot more developer friendly than the cell processor was. PlayStation 3 was very hard to develop for.
Yes, it was.
Very hard. That is why
Yes, it
games
was.
did not look that great until the end of the generation.
Because that's when people finally got a grasp onto how to code and
Yep.
how to run graphical stuff on it.
Whereas Windows was just DirectX.
Yep.
You want to make a game on Xbox? DirectX. Perfect.
You want to make a game on Windows PC? DirectX.
Yep, and then so it's so crazy, that whole thing. I think we're probably gonna wrap up.
I was gonna
honestly.
say, yeah, we're just
probably
rambling
going.
over here. We're just
We
doing,
are, and that's what I like. It's fun to just talk, and that's like the whole concept of
Yeah.
it is that, because me and you don't have one-on-ones.
No,
And
well, I mean, you
sometimes.
say that to every guest that you
I do,
have.
but it's true though. It's
It
true.
is.
I think the most untrue would be to JC and Z because I have one-on-ones with them every
Yeah,
day.
you live with them.
Yep. But like to have people come on and sit down, and there are things that I still want to talk to you about that
Of course.
we will talk about at a later date.
But this is for the
know.
podcast. This is for the people.
Oh no, I mean there are things that I want to talk about on the podcast too. I mean you talked about this beforehand,
I know.
parenthood and all that stuff.
I know.
And I
but
think-
we'll save that for another
I think
podcast.
what we'll do for that one, I think that one might just be a you and Mac and me.
Yeah.
That might be when we go to 3 people, which is becoming from the things that our friends have told me. Sounds like that's going to need to happen sooner rather than later.
Yeah, just one-on-ones. You're gonna have to get a round table. Bring them all in. So.
I will. We'll make some changes.
But the video has
The
cut
video
off for everyone.
So
with
we are
this,
going to wrap up.
have a great rest of your day.
Enjoy your week. We will be back next week. Normal times, Mondays and Tuesdays. Monday for audio, Tuesday for video. If you would like to find out more about Joey Moments or follow our social medias, go visit our website at joeymoments.com. Thank you guys for listening. We'll see you next time.
See ya.